AGUA Special Utility District, special called board meeting. It is September 13, 2022 at 6:05 p.m. Item 1, call to order. 1A, roll call. Esmeralda Solis, present. Maribel Diaz, absent. Cesar Rodriguez,
Present.
present. Ricardo Perez,
Present.
Lloyd Loya,
Here.
Homero Tijerina,
Here.
and Ivan Sandoval.
Present.
Present. And we do have a quorum. Item B, invocation will be done by Pam.
Heavenly Father, as we gather today to conduct matters of business for homicide, may you give us your guidance, wisdom, and knowledge to make the best decisions for the ratepayers and employees. Lord, let this meeting be productive and let your peace surround us today. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Item C, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1D, public comments.
Madam President, we do not have any public comments.
Okay, so no public comments. Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of an order amending the AGUA SUD's November 8, 2022 general election to include the approved Hidalgo County polling locations, dates, and times for early voting and election day. Chair.
Madam President, members of the board, you'll see on item 2, what we have here is an order that is amending the locations and dates from the previous location. What this does is the county has.
Do we have an airplane on top of us or helicopter?
Is that a mower?
Oh,
Oh,
The
Sorry about
county has since designated the various locations that the county has determined will be the locations for polling in the countywide elections for the upcoming November election. Currently, as the board will recall, in the past order, the board had designated the Peñitas Public Library, I think for the last, thank you. I just always assume that my booming voice is audible to all. For the last however many elections, the Peñitas Public Library has been a location that the county has used. And so we figured that it would be used again, and the board, as you'll recall, designated that as a location along with all of the other county-wide polling locations as determined by the county. Our understanding now is that the county has designated those locations. However, the one location that the board specifically called out, in addition to all the other countywide polling locations, is not one of the locations that the county has designated as a polling location. So there won't be polling equipment or anything else, no voting booths. And so our current order has a location suggesting that people could go to the public library there in Peñitas and vote when it seems that they would not be able to. And so what this order does is it brings into conformity with the locations that the county has designated, those locations that are within our boundaries for our constituents to go vote. And go ahead and if you have any
so
questions.
we just want some feedback from the county why they chose to remove the poll site from Peñitas. It seems like everyone in the entire valley has one. Granjeno has maybe like 2 or 3 people that vote on a daily basis compared to that poll site. It's a popular poll site. We get a real good voter turnout there, and for the county to remove that as a poll site, it makes no sense to, at least to me. I don't know how everybody else here feels.
And it's
true. Go ahead. I just want some transparency. I mean,
Who's paying for it?
we're paying for it.
Yeah, so, yeah, let me address that, because I'm sure that's a question that's.
So we want to pay for our, like, services.
Yeah,
But
so,
it's a county election.
so that's a good thing probably to discuss, because this election will go, even just on the process and procedures differently than the district has had in prior elections, for a number of reasons. One, this is the first election that the district has had that will occur in the November general election by law. If you'll recall, in our Enabling Act, one of the things that was changed in the district's enabling act was that our elections will now occur in the November general election each time. Prior to that, it was in the May election. So there's a couple of things that that are affected by that. In a general November election, that is in a county-wide election, then the county-wide designated locations are the locations that our district has to use. Whereas if, you know, in prior years, if we had a May election, we would say, all right, we want this location and that location. I mean, and that even goes back to when the district was composed of having representatives of particular cities, right? And then we were redistricted. We have 7, you know, generally similar sized and population sub-districts or districts. But now with this change to a general November election, participating in a county-wide polling program where, you know, the residents, regardless of where you live, right? You can go to a poll, if you live in Sullivan City and you work in Mission, you can go to a polling location in Mission and vote. Doesn't matter where you go as long as you're in a county polling location in Hidalgo County.
And we get all that.
Right.
That's understandable. But we just what
So that-
we want to hear is why did they remove
So-
that one city?
So the way that, well, yeah, and we don't.
So can we get some feedback before we make a motion on this? Because I mean that's making it harder for our citizens of Peñitas to go out and vote. And I know we're having an election just in the city of Sullivan and Peñitas this year, right? Which is District 6 and 4 and 7. So in order for somebody
Yeah,
to
4 and
vote for District 4, they have to go to another city when there's a poll site right down the street.
Also, the school district also, they approved the Peñitas Public Library. And they also had approved the Sullivan City Fire Station.
Right.
And then they moved it.
Yeah,
now-
this will
But at
affect.
least Sullivan has a poll site. You guys
Yeah.
are like, over here, we don't have a poll site whatsoever. I say we because I live in that city.
And just to be clear, this is not just, you know, whatever locations the county decides, that just doesn't just affect, you know, AGUA Special Utility District. That,
Yeah.
you know, these are the county-wide locations, and every governmental entity, you know, in this election will use, you know, the locations, you know, state statute. That's the purview of the county.
I don't think the county is at a position anymore to where they can change this, or is there something that?
Yeah, no. The
Yeah,
August
it
20th.
passed on
I'm
August 20th.
asking.
And we found out last week, so that's.
Yeah.
Did it go through Commissioner's Court?
I'm sorry?
Did it go through Commissioner's Court? The changes?
Yes. Yeah, the Commissioner's Court is the one that
Yeah, so.
approved the order.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so, but as to cost, right, because that changes now too, right? Previously, we would have an order, we designate locations, we contract with the county to run those elections based on the number of polling sites, and then we'd pay for those. So the way that the cost now is done by statute is we will receive an estimate, which will be for the full cost of each polling location within the district's boundaries. But then, and that's just an estimate because it's easy to say, okay, well, there's 4 locations that are within your boundaries. Here's the estimate for each of those locations. Now, that's not what the district will actually pay. The district will pay its proportionate share of the costs based on however many governmental entities also use that polling site. So let's say you have a polling location that's being used by 3 governmental entities, you know, then the costs will be split among those entities. And we have yet to receive, we haven't received the estimate. We'll receive the estimate once we deliver the questionnaire to the county, which provides, you know, confirms the locations of the county designated locations that are within our boundaries.
So what's your recommendation?
Well, my recommendation right now would be to approve the order to bring our order that's calling the election into conformity with what is currently the locations that people can go and vote in.
And if it gets tabled, or,
I mean, that won't
Well,
change the locations that people can go and
It's
vote.
not gonna, I mean, I don't think it's gonna change, since the deadline
I
has
mean-
already.
Yeah, but I'm more sure
Yeah.
that
That's-
deadlines can,
Can amend it?
yeah, I mean,
Like, we're amending it, they can amend it
Well,
over there.
like-
let's say
But
there's
like
enough
even
complaints
like-
from our
That's true.
community that we want a poll site here, I'm more than sure the commissioners court, they're all about transparency.
Yeah.
They would want us, oh, you know what, we did this because of that, and you know what, due to the number of people who are complaining, we're gonna go ahead and have a poll site there. Is that possible, Javi? Have you ever seen something like that?
I don't know, that's why I was
Mr.
asking,
Peña?
once the deadline, I don't know, it depends on whether the deadline is already passed. If the deadline's passed, it's passed.
Yeah,
It really depends.
our understanding is that the deadline has already passed. It was in August. And we do not have the authority under state law to call our own, to designate our own location. I mean, that is the county's authority for this November general election. Now, we can put in a request to ask, you know, the reasons behind the locations that they designated. But as far as on these countywide polling locations that people can go vote in this general election, that is the county's, you know, state authorized authority to designate.
I would just like to have a response, man, from the county, because, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I would understand if it was a poll site that had very, a low voter turnout,
Yeah.
no participation, I get it. But when it's a poll site that has a strong voter turnout, that just
lot
seems
of
like you're
activity.
trying to
Yeah.
force people not to go out and vote. That's just the way I see it,
We,
but that's me.
and we can certainly submit, if the board would like, we can certainly submit a public information request to get more information on the reasoning for,
Okay.
you know, why those locations were designated and why others were not.
Salinas, did we turn in that paperwork to the county when it got approved by us here at the board?
Yes, yes, we did.
And did we ever get a response from the
We got a
new
response,
interim?
last week in reference, to the early voting, and also, the voting, day, for us to remove the Peñitas library.
Okay, but prior to that, there was no discussion.
No,
And we had
Or-
that meeting August 8th, I believe, right? So I'm checking my phone, that's almost been more than a month, and we just got a response last week.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
there's no,
so, yeah, they did request for us to remove that.
yeah, but that was it, but there was no communication prior to
Prior.
that.
No.
It was just left alone, here it is, and forget about it.
No, yeah, remove
Questionnaire.
from
Our-
a questionnaire.
So the questionnaire, right, as part of the process, with the contract, we have to provide the county a questionnaire that has all the information. You know, what of the designated locations that we are wanting to utilize, right? Or we have to utilize. And so in that, our questionnaire cannot include, they directed us to remove locations that are not designated locations.
Yeah, just one, so.
Right.
Okay, it is what it is, man. I'm gonna abstain from voting, because I had made a motion before, and I'm tired of being, whatever,
But what was the timeframe, like,
bullied and
simply,
looked at as a joke.
when that was approved, don't they have a timeframe to notify us?
Does the county have,
Yeah, to notify the entity that actually make the motion, or like, pay for the services.
This is the first time that Mr. Peña heard about it.
Oh,
15
okay.
minutes ago was the first time I've heard about this, so I don't know.
Like, how long does the county have to notify us? 'Cause
Well,
apparently-
the county technically did have their agenda posted on their website
Okay.
with the order. You know, as far as, you know, the approved order, with all of the designated locations, I mean, we received notice from them last week that those locations had been approved at that meeting.
So 3 weeks ago, or,
Last week,
no, but like, it went through 3 weeks ago.
August 8th.
Oh, my.
Probably has to do with staffing or something from the county. I mean, we don't know what the reason was, but I think I could think. one
Right. I mean,
would that be?
And we do know that there have been, I think there have been some staffing changes at the county recently, some retirements.
And I would understand maybe like the City of Palmview, that there would be they would mess up there, because I know City of Palmview only opens up their city hall on election day, right? That's how it works? I mean, if there was new staff, they wouldn't know that, and they wouldn't mess up there, so that's not an excuse, I don't think so. But I'm ready to move forward to the next item, if whoever wants to vote for this one.
Okay, so we're gonna have a motion to approve the order, or?
What's the scenario here? If we table it, we cannot table it. We need to vote on it. If we vote against it, or what's?
Either way, still
Well,
go through. I mean, we'll just.
I mean, these are the locations that,
That's-
that people will
That's the county.
have, be able to vote. The question is, do we want to have an order that's currently on our website that contains incorrect information and that could,
No.
that
Well,
could.
can we table it and then bring bring an item back at the next board meeting to remove that from our website?
Our order calling the election?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do need, the district
Like
should inform the public as to where they can go vote.
Okay. I
So-
need- well, I need
so-
the one ready.
Our recommendation is to update the order with the most accurate information that we have at this time.
I get you.
So I make a motion, we approve this, order. So,
I have a motion by Perez. I have a second, did you say second? Sandoval? No? Okay, so,
if I
quick
want a
question,
discussion,
if I,
because apparently we need to put on the website whatever's out there. We cannot be against.
we can't be against whatever counties is, this is the only option that we have, obviously.
No,
Now,
we understand that.
and, I mean, I understand your points of view, but just to point something out, in the previous election, when it was District 1, 2, and 3, which is my district is District 3, out in the miles, we had to go into the Peñitas site or any other site, and we still got a good voter turnout. So, I mean, if the community is gonna go out and vote, there's one in La Jolla. I mean, I understand the point of view, but there's nothing we're gonna be able to do by holding back and not approving the order. So, I mean, if we need to be in compliance with having what we need to have on our website, then by all means, I think we need to come to an agreement and, approve what we have to so we can move forward. Because if the deadline has already passed and we cannot present county with, for them to give us an explanation
Good.
as to whether we can assign another polling site, well, then there's really nothing we're gonna be, you know.
So what's our deadline to come up with a vote?
Well, so the last day to order a jitter election was August 22nd, and that's why the county called their order and designated those locations on August 18th, right before that deadline. We called the election, so our order, since we didn't have the information at the time, our order we drafted in a way to be very inclusive of whatever the county would eventually choose, right? We designated a location that had historically been a location and assumed that that would be correct, and also included all other countywide polling locations,
Yep.
right? To have a broad net
Right.
that would catch everything. And so our order amending it is not, I mean, the deadline to order an election has already passed, but this is just to update the information to where it's accurate.
So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the only thing that might matter is if we have incorrect information, we can.
Yes, no, we
provide-
understand that.
Right.
So
That's what I mean.
I know there's a
So,
motion on the table right now. What do we do to?
Just, I would approve the order that,
I would like to get a response from the county before I make a motion. That's just the way I feel. Once I get a response why they decided to exclude that polling site, then I'll vote. But I want an explanation before I make a.
So do we have a deadline as
Motion.
to when we need to post? Because if everybody else here wants to decide to table the item, are we going to be non-compliant for having to wait this amount of time? Because if that's the case, then I don't think it's a good
When does it
idea for us
start?
to table an item.
And the other thing is what we have on our website. What are we advertising out there that we're gonna have?
Yeah, because
polling
we
site
have to
meeting?
October, so we
Well,
still have
because-
over a month, right, before it starts? October 21st, 24th.
24.
yeah,
So we can come back next week whenever we want. I just want a response.
yeah, I mean, it's
want some
not a
feedback from the county.
particular, today is not a statutory deadline for us to amend the order.
Okay.
It's we are coming up to just a process
Yes, sir.
timeline as far as the speed of, on the county side, making sure that in their system, everyone is in
I get you.
is accounted for, and that there's not gonna be an election issue with someone trying to vote and then not being counted or included in the right, district or anything like that, right? I mean, we've sent all that stuff to the county. The questionnaire helps them know, where everything is at with our constituents and their system. They, I think, had if I'm recalling correctly, they wanted the questionnaire on Friday, and we asked to have an extension to Monday, and then due to the website issues, then we're having a meeting
So
today.
we don't vote today, friend, there's a motion table, but, so we're gonna meet next month, so it's gonna be about 12 days before election, so that's not gonna be good for our.
We can have a special call. We have a special call for
like,
anything
next
nowadays.
week or.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I mean, if you respect what I'm at, I'm just, give me some
Yeah.
feedback why you decided to remove this poll site, and then I'll vote.
I think
And
I'm with
that's
you,
what-
but,
That's
don't
what I
have that
mean, like,
answer.
I understand the concerns, I just wouldn't want to be non-compliant, so that's my question. Would we be in non-compliance if we do not act on this now versus we
Yeah,
go to the, let's say, example, the October meeting,
We have incorrect information
We do have
in the
incorrect.
order right now.
so.
Okay, so who's gonna be doing the job of calling the election
That's-
department?
That's our
Having done
attorney.
a lot- Trying to get information from a governmental entity takes time. So, I don't know whether you wanna wait, or if you wanna do it concurrently. We will approve this, but we also want your.
Contingent to getting a, or,
A response?
Yeah, we need to ask, 'cause, I mean, we do it through a PIR, they've got 10 days.
10 business days.
They have 10 business days, which is not just 10 days, yeah, you're right, 10 business days. Then if they send it up to the AG, you're looking at another few weeks.
Up
Yeah.
to 45 days
Right.
to get a AG opinion back. I mean, my recommendation is to approve the order, to have the information correct and accurate as it exists right now, so that we are not telling the public any information that is incorrect. We can pursue getting more information from the county as to why they designated these locations, but the county has the authority to designate locations.
yeah, no, I totally get
And-
that.
And we have an obligation to represent to the public where they can go vote.
I know there was a motion on the table, so I don't know what.
So I have a motion by Perez, can I second? I second the motion, the second by Solis, and all those in favor?
Alright,
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Abstain.
Well, we're not gonna get anywhere. if
Is there any
nobody
other
is there.
abstaining?
So,
A motion dies, no?
What went with a majority? Are you,
2 to 1, everyone else is abstaining, looks like, I don't know how that works.
are you abstaining or you're voting, Ivan? Are you
Yes.
going nay or you're going to abstain?
So I agree with both. I agree with what they're saying. We need to approve it, and I agree with what Lloyd is saying. But I guess at this point, I don't wanna.
Well, I just need
Either
it.
way, it's still gonna get approved anyway. So yeah, that's fine. Go for
Okay,
it.
motion carries.
Okay, so motion carries. Item number 2.
Just get that for us, Jeremy, because.
yeah, I will send that tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Item 3, discussion and possible action on approval of a resolution amending the AGUA SUD procurement policy and procedures.
Yes, Madam President, so we have, 2 things that we're looking into changing, which one is the procurement policy, correct? And the other one will be, the procurement, procedures. On the procurement policy, there's an attachment in addition to the actual item. And, on the procurement policy, we're seeking to change, just the title of the chief accountant to finance director. And again, this is just to, be in compliance with our, existing, audit. And on procurement procedures, also we're looking into changing the title again from chief accountant to finance director. And we're also seeking to add under,
Section 6.
under
Section 6, it's on page 8.
under section
the
6,
attachment.
page 8, under contractor purchases, the addition of the board that may approve the purchases of chemicals and electricity and the purchase purchase of or lease of equipment and vehicles for a period not exceeding 60 months. Again, this is something that we had to discuss again with finance and of course our auditors, and we're looking to just to be in agreement and in compliance with the audit.
Explain that again, I get the part about the chief accountant, but
Yeah.
the contracted purchases. Can you
So-
explain that?
So the background on this is the district, on the most recent audit, and my understanding is on perhaps some prior audits, one of the things that the auditors flagged as they identified our energy contract as out of compliance with our procurement procedures, because you'll see the sentence right before that has a 24-month limitation on materials, supplies, and services. The district disagreed and viewed the energy policy as not a service. The auditors did view it as a service. This is in effort to, most energy contracts are at minimum 36 months. There's a lot of other different kinds of services, lease equipment, chemical contracts, the terms of which, either exceed as a minimum 24 months, or the rates that you can get those chemicals or, office equipment on a lease is a better rate at, say, 36 months instead of 24 months.
Yeah, I mean, because for energy, you can lock a rate for 6 years and you save energy like that.
Right, and you save energy. And so the point of this is, one, to address the issues that the auditors identified as contracts and services that the district has procured and is under contract with that conflict with the current procurement procedures, and to give the board the ability to enter into and approve those contracts for certain categories that tend to benefit from a longer term. And so what we have here, as you'll see, the chemicals, right, that the district typically gets under contract with, almost invariably are able to do that at a better rate on a 36, 40-month term than a 12 or 24-month term.
Yes, sir.
Same with electricity, and then same with purchase or release of equipment. For instance, the district has, 5-year-old copiers, and is in need of new copying machines that don't continually break down. But most copy equipment office lease companies are unwilling to enter into
Like a 12-month or two, yeah.
Right,
no,
right.
Doesn't
A
benefit.
term less than 36 months. And so, and in fact, the current office copy equipment situation was one of the reasons that directly led, in addition to the audit comments, the copy equipment situation directly led to the recommendation of staff to make this change in the policy. And then, of course, we also have vehicles. Not always does the district want to cash out front, lose the liquidity of having to buy a vehicle outright. And if we have a vehicle breakdown, the ability to enter into a lease term for something like a typical, vehicle term is five years, so 60 months, and that's why the 60-month here is what
So
we have.
this is giving us the ability to approve a contract up to 60 months, right?
For these specific categories.
Which is what again? Energy,
Yeah, we have chemicals, electricity,
Chemicals, electricity.
equipment,
equipment.
and vehicles.
Okay, and you're good with that?
And then,
Right,
and
Mr.
then
Salinas?
everything else that's outside of those categories would still be limited, the board would still be limited to approve by that 24 months, yeah.
And you're good with that, Mr. Salinas?
Yes, we're in agreement. Does the waste removal service also?
Yes, thanks for,
includes-
there is one contract that we did identify, or one type of service that we identified, after, putting this into the packet, that also almost invariably is longer than 24 months, and that's waste removal service.
So it's in, that's,
So our recommendation would be, staff's recommendation would be to approve the resolution amending the procurement procedure with the addition of waste removal services.
And we know with chemicals going up, and I think they went up 200%, we want to lock in a rate, so.
Right.
Okay. All right, I make a motion to approve item 3.
I have a motion by Loya.
Do I need to say to include the amendment
And
of
include-
wastewater removal?
Yes,
That's my motion.
waste removal.
Waste removal services, that's my motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Loya.
Second by.
I have a second by Tijerina. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on approval to enter into an agreement with Copy Graphics, Inc. for 3 copier, printer, scanner machines under the State of Texas DIR-COP-4437 contract agreement.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, again, this item, of course, tied into the last agenda item. We're seeking the approval to enter into an agreement with Copy Graphics, and this is for 3 copiers that we're seeking to replace and, of course, keep the monthly maintenance. This is for billing department, the finance and cash collection department, and meter tech accounts payable. So, of course, we're seeking into getting this agreement, the machines under the State of Texas Direct Co-op 4437, as was mentioned, the agreement for 48 months for a total of $10,586 per year. And again, we're recommending a 4-year lease agreement. We have a matrix showing on the attachments. We have that with you. We have one showing the difference between 36 months and 48 months. Of course, the current charts that we have on the monthly lease and the monthly maintenance. So the difference between 36 months and 48 months will be 36 months from $11,884 to the 48-month lease to $10,586.16.
Who is this company? Copy Graphics, have we used them in the past?
Yes.
We've always had them.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the same. And of course, it's to include the new equipment and continue with the monthly maintenance.
So it's a need, right? It's not a
Yes.
It's not a want, it's a need.
motion to approve.
I
Item
have
number 4.
I have a motion by Loya.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on engagement of agent of record for property, casualty, and workers' compensation insurance.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, the district is coming up on the renewal of policies on the property and casualty and workmen's compensation. We met again with staff and the committee, and we're seeking authorization to have the same chosen company, which is Barrett Insurance Services in Newkirk. And again, based on the qualifications that were presented for the insurance as the agents of record, to have them be the agent of record for the property and casualties and workmen's compensation. There have been very responsive. We have a lot of confidence that they can get the job done, and of course they are ready with RFQs to get us quotes for those services.
Okay.
However, we needed to bring it to the board for approval to add those 2 additional services, if we may call them that, for property and casualties and workmen's compensation.
Did we advertise for this?
We went through an RFQ for insurance agents of records. Now, we have,
But on
yes,
the ad, it never
we
said
need
about.
to either go through the RFQ process or add the services to this company that we have already looked at their RFQs, and they have included all this information within that RFQ, even though the RFQ was just for insurance services.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yes.
it was the advertisement was just for the insurance, but never for workman's comp, casualty.
Right, so the, if you recall, board approved RFQs to go out for the medical insurance agent of record, right?
Sure.
Looked at all the responses to those, designated these individuals based on their demonstrated competence and qualifications, right, to do that. My understanding is the committee has been very impressed with their professionalism and feedback and ability to answer phone calls and all that stuff. So the way that we've drafted this is broad enough, based on their demonstrated competence and qualifications of their ability through the medical insurance, and also with their response showing their property casualty and workers' comp qualifications. The district feels confident that they would meet the competency and necessary qualifications to go out for RFQs on property casualty and workers' compensation. Now, the board could, if it wants to, go out and have the staff go through an RFQ process just for property casualty. To do that, we could do that. The recommendation, if that was the board's decision, would be, we would want a pretty quick turnaround time, is my understanding, based on the time that our current policies would expire.
How long do we have before they expire?
Is it the end of the year?
At the end of the year. But they will need to, the agent will need to request for qualifications per
Right.
each item as well. So they will need to also go out for qualifications and bids
Right.
for such items.
Which is,
Property and casualties and workman's comp
Okay.
as well. They'll be the agent.
on record. No, I get that part.
Now,
Under professional service.
yeah, under the Professional Services Act, there are certain types of professional services that you do have to go out for RFQs specifically. There are certain statutes that require that, and we've looked at it. Our understanding is that we already have an RFQ response that would meet the qualifications for property casualty and workers' compensation from Barrett. Because they include that in the RFQs, and we have received that. And it's, the requirement for, say, a surveyor or engineer is different from an agent of record for insurance.
Do we have that in the packet? I don't see it anywhere.
I don't
No,
see, do we
no,
have?
We don't have we have the actual package that they submitted, which is a full binder, that we have on hand, but that binder has that information as well and for property and casualties and workers' compensation. So it's just, I guess it's just an additional service to the insurance, being the insurance of
Yeah.
agent of record for insurance.
Correct. Now, if the board would prefer to go through an entire RFQ process, we have made this agenda item broad enough in that, as part of engagement of agent of record for these services, this item is broad enough that you could also approve just going out for RFQs and having staff make the recommendation of the best, most qualified.
All right.
Right, those are really the two options that the board can do. Direct staff to engage Barrett Industries to go out for RFQs for these policies, or direct staff to do RFQs for an agent of record to then send out RFQs for these policies.
Are we in compliance with, we can do either or both?
Yeah.
And are we saving any money if we go out and look, or that's the best deal we can get?
Yeah, that's my question.
It's just a request for qualifications, then I guess the way that agent of record works, they'll actually get their funding through the agencies,
Right.
not through the district.
Not
Yeah.
through us.
Okay.
So it's really, the only difference is just a matter of the timeline on the timeliness. And I think, with it being September, the district still has time that it could do an RFQ. It would mean that the agent would have a little bit less time to really do, on their end. One of the benefits with Barrett Industries, my understanding is they have already prepared an RFQ packet for property casualty and workers' comp, but those are the two really primary. I mean, we would recommend one of those two options to the board.
Can you make it easy enough, recommend one?
I mean, staff's recommendation would be to authorize district general manager and legal counsel to pursue engagement of Barrett Industries and come to an agreement in the best interest of the district so that they can move forward with RFQ.
So move to that statement.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mr. Perez, and I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez. All those in favor say aye.
All right?
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Ivan, you're good? You're good. Okay, motion carries. Item number 6, General Manager's Report, 6A, July's financials.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, here with us, we have Mr. Jaime Reina, Finance Director, which will summarize the July financials.
Yes, Board, these financial statements are as of July. If you could please turn your attention to the Statement of Revenues, Expenses, and Changes in Net Position. Here you'll see that the total operating revenues is at 59% of our budget. Total operating expenses is at 57%, so overall, we are in line with our budget.
58%, right?
58% is the July marker,
July.
so we're 1% ahead in revenues and 1% behind in expenses. So overall, balanced.
That's your first one with a new title?
Right. Right.
Yes, technically.
Right.
Any other questions? Item 6B, Preliminary Engineering Feasibility Report for New Water Treatment Plant.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we have here with us Mr. Saul Maldonado with SAMS Engineering. He will be giving a summary of the preliminary engineering feasibility report.
Hello.
Good evening, Madam President, board members. Mr. Salinas stated we've been working on, you approved the preliminary engineering feasibility report for Sunday to prepare. So we've worked on this for about 90 days at this point. Right, we are at 60% and we are between 60 and 90% pending a water model. So I know you procured the water model updated a couple weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Once we get the water model, we can finalize. But between now and then, we've evaluated 2 property sites. They're both pretty good. We've identified the number of connections you have, the number of connections we estimate that you'll have going into the future, right, the 20 and 30 years. So we're estimating between 3 and 6 MGDs are going to depend on growth. It depends on a lot of different factors, right? So we're looking at those options and how can we get that water? So in those 2 sites, we've identified conventional water systems. We've identified proposed layout for those water systems. What we need the model for is to figure out how we're going to get the water out from those water plants. How are we going to distribute it? Where they're going to benefit and where the growth areas. In there, we've also identified options for Havana, which I know that we have something later. If that grows and that reduces what you need in the future, we can go out for loans, or it depends how you increase that. And we're also looking at different options for package plants. So those package plants could be from 1 MGD, 2 or 3, that maybe are more cost effective. So the biggest issue right now with the water plants is with everything else, chemical feed, how the prices have gone up. So in the past, it was maybe $3 a gallon, now we're looking at 6 to 10. So it's a broad range. So at 6 MGD, you're talking about $36 million to $60 million. To go out for funding for 40 to 60 million is going to be pretty hard and going to be expensive. That's why we're looking at different options. But at this point, again, we're at 60%. Once we get the model, we can wrap it up pretty quickly and figure out what the options are, what we can submit on, what type of recommendation for the size of the plant, the type of plant, and the infrastructure needs to be able to get the water out. It's a pretty quick one. I know in the past, we have a 60% set that the district has with the general manager's office, and I don't know if there's any questions that you may have.
So right now, you're pending just the water model, right?
Yes.
Is the water model on the agenda? Can we talk about it? just to see that progress, or?
Yeah, I mean, this is a informative item, so you can ask questions, certainly. There's just not a, there's not like a decision.
That's M2 on the water model?
It's,
Oh, that's, Meldon and
Meldon
Hunt.
and Hunt.
Yeah.
They're not here, right? Have we gotten any feedback
Yeah, we
from
just-
Meldon and Hunt,
we
to
approved-
Mr. Salinas,
we
that you've
approved
heard
that
about?
item, was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, still working on that.
They're still working on the water model.
Okay, so when you get that water model, what's like your lead time or your turnaround time to give us an update? So,
I'd say that if, we don't have any questions on it, within 30 days.
okay.
Just a big round number, but as fast as possible.
And they had told us, what, 60 days?
60 days,
Meldon and Hunt?
at least 60 days,
And it's been about 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay,
But
So
hopefully by the
maybe-
end of the year, we'd say we take those timelines.
okay.
We should have something by the end of the year with recommendations and then hopefully discussions of where we can go for funding or which direction move forward at that time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item number 7, District Engineers Report. Item 7A, NatBank's Technical Assistance Agreement Sewer Hookups.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we have Milo Salinas with M2 Engineering giving the report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Luis Salinas here with M2 Engineering. So the first project we have is the NatBank Technical Assistance Agreement project for the sewer hookups. So far, contractors completed 1,555 service connections. Of those, 1,478 are connected. And of those, 1,381 septic tanks have been pumped and spoils have been hauled off.
Go again, Milo, on that one?
1,381 septic tanks have been.
Like
pumped.
decommissioned already?
No, out of the 1,381,
Yes, sir?
1,373 have been fully decommissioned.
Okay,
So 1,381 have been pumped, spoils have been removed,
yes,
but
sir.
they haven't been filled with sand and fully completed. Fully completed would be 1,373. So we'd say the project is approximately 75% complete.
How many are we pending? From
So
373 to 155, right?
So as I mentioned, the total services that have been installed is 1,555, and the total on the project is 1,865.
So the ones that are pending are what?
The ones that are pending is, there's approximately 60 services that are pending on south of the expressway, between Brayfogle and Bensten Palm.
Which is what phase of the project? Is that the OG phase, the phase 2?
Yes.
The takeover phase?
Yes.
So they're not complete with that project?
No.
Oh, okay, just wanted to clarify that.
And no service connections have been installed north of the expressway between Brayfogle and Minnesota.
Okay.
So they're gonna stop from doing the connections? Morwell?
That's, I think, needs to be discussed.
Okay. And how about, have they finished all the rest on the south? I know there's patchwork and that has to be done. Can they go back and finish all that work up?
That's what they're working on, south of the
Okay.
expressways.
Who's working out there? The surety and OG? They're still out there working?
No, I'm talking about.
The yard line. What about, OG, well, I guess the surety? Are they still out there working?
No,
When did they stop?
let me go through the.
Oh, okay.
through the project.
I'm sorry. Since it's, hand in hand. Oh, that's item 7C, okay.
Yeah,
Next.
okay, so, any other person on the NatBank project on the okay,
Thank you.
Speed ahead.
almost there.
Speed ahead.
Mile three water line, improvements for the widening that got done, by the county and stuff. That project is fully completed and all closeout documents were submitted to our SUD by the contractor on August 3rd, 2022. So at this time, that project is complete.
Nice.
Water on board, pump and sanitary sewer improvements project. So, yes, to answer your question, substantially complete is site since July 6th. So at this time, they have not completed the punch list items that we had on there, and that area, in our opinion, at this time is not substantial.
And we have all that documentation, right? Okay.
So what are we gonna do there? We're just gonna wait until cows come home, or
I need y'all's direction on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're gonna
so-
talk to me?
Probably, yes.
Is,
Okay.
We have
Yeah.
an executive
is that back there in
session.
executive session?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 8B, exactly.
But they
Okay.
haven't been there since July. No calls, no nothing, no show up, nothing.
What
Yeah.
they've submitted is that they're complete, but in our opinion,
It's not the case.
Serious
Visual
situation.
evidence.
And we have the televising that proves that they're not complete, right?
so there's some televising that was submitted, we reviewed that, and there's some sections where we had our, I guess you could say our doubts and wanted to get them field verified, by others, and, what's that general manager has gotten someone else to televise those sections. And so, once we review that, we'll have a better answer for you on that, but at this time, there's some areas that we feel are not, ready to be able to connect lines in that section.
Can you give us like an example of one of the deficiencies or?
If I may, because we've got it in executive session and there is litigation, I'm recommending we move any further discussion to
Okay.
executive
Yeah.
session.
So, okay, let's not talk about it on here anymore.
Next item, the Havana Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project, which is for a proposed reservoir behind the water treatment plant at Havana. Right now, what we're working on is basically the environmental information document that's required by the Water Development Board. We've responded to the Army Corps of Engineers on some items that they've requested as a correspondence follows. The EID is approximately 75% complete, and we're waiting on correspondence from the Army Corps of Engineers on that.
Yes, sir.
Who's the owner of that property?
I don't remember the name of the owner, but as part of the engineering feasibility report that was done, there was a letter of intent to sell the property to AGUA for that reservoir. However, until it gets environmentally cleared, then I guess you cannot place an offer or get it appraised until it's environmentally cleared
Yeah.
and approved by the next water board.
Okay.
Okay.
Mendiola Water Storage Transportation, status update, the design builders requested to install concrete at the driveway entrance in lieu of asphalt at no additional cost. Meldon Hunt provided a concrete pavement section detail for them, and that has been completed. So inside the fence, the driveway entrance has been completed. Other items that were completed were the louvers on both sides of the building, the painting, the building doors, and cleanup and painting of the floors and the piping, and close out of the penetrations of the pipe into the building. And there's still some items that are pending, and they had some questions. Design builder had some questions for the project engineer, and so they're waiting on an RFI to get a response to continue to finish those items. From there, what we expect to get a schedule is to do a final walkthrough and then a punch list to finalize the project.
Who's not responding? Because I've been getting those calls and it's been already been a couple of weeks. My understanding is Mellon and Hut. Is that
So-
true or?
Yes, so
Okay.
we've been in contact with Meldon Hunt to see when they can get a response, and we were told
Yeah.
that by this week they should get a response.
Because they're ready to finish everything with the final punch list and get it done. So that way we as a board can approve that project, but
Okay. So we'll get on Milden and Hunt.
Yeah.
Would that be you, Milo, or Mr. Salinas? Both of you? Both. Okay. Just keep us posted on that, please.
Thank you, Milo.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Item number 8, executive session. As provided by Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 -551.091, the Board of Directors may convene in closed executive session to deliberate, discuss, and consult regarding the matters listed below and/or on proper motion and approval, any of the items set forth above. Item A, Texas Water Development Board of Palmview Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Item B, Performance Services Inc. litigation. Item C, Jimmy Klausner and Sons, liquidated damages for Palmview Wastewater Collection System Phase 1, lift stations A2, F, G, and G7, Project 3. And then item D, cause number C-3353-20-I and SMB Infrastructure versus AGUA Special Utility District in the District Court of Hidalgo County, 398th Judicial District. So,
Motion.
I need a motion to go into executive session at 7:01. I have a motion by Loya and a second by Mr. Perez. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.